The year is 1967. Adelges Tsugae was introduced about 40 years prior, but their growing population has been officially recognized only recently in the Pennsylvania forests. No one had realized the destructive force this small insect could inflict on the northeastern forest environment. An invasive species, defined by MNR.gov, is an alien species whose introduction or spread threatens the environment, the economy, and or society, including human health. The Adelges Tsugae, or more commonly known as hemlock woolly adelgid, was native to East Asia, but somehow made its way to the Pacific Northwest in 1924. Its presence was made known in Pennsylvania in 1967. These species feed on the tree sap of the Tsugae canadensis, or more commonly known as the eastern hemlock. The hemlock woolly adelgid is a predominantly asexual species, producing offspring twice a year. The insects have a four-stage life cycle, starting with eggs, followed by larvae, or crawlers, then nymphs, and finally adults. In the egg stage, the eggs are wrapped in a waxy wool covering for protection. These insects are destructive for one main reason. They target and kill the Pennsylvania state tree, the eastern hemlock. The future of this tree species is currently threatened because of it. The eastern hemlock is a dense coniferous tree native to eastern North America, including Pennsylvania. This tree has extreme shade tolerance and is typically long-lived. The hemlock woolly adelgid targets eastern hemlocks of all sizes and ages. The adelgids feeding on the parenchyma cells of the hemlock's xylem kills the trees. Xylem's main function is to transport water and nutrients and is vital to the tree's well-being. With xylem being destroyed, the tree will eventually die. As the hemlocks decline within an area, macro-environmental changes occur. Increased light reaches the forest floor. This increases the temperature of the soil and is associated with accelerated nitrite exports. With the decline of the eastern hemlock, environments are left with homogeneous landscapes dominated by broad-leaved, deciduous species. Industries, such as logging, increase due to the anticipation of the hemlock woolly adelgid, results in faster destruction of the coniferous forests. The decline of hemlock populations caused by the hemlock woolly adelgid infestation affects nutrient concentrations within the forests they inhabit. In a study measuring the difference of nutrient concentrations of the ground beneath, affected trees, as well as from leaf litter, and nitrogen fluxes were much higher than they would have been if the tree were unaffected. The wax wool produced by the hemlock woolly adelgid has contributed to the increase of epiphytic microbes and bacteria. These microbes use the wax wool created by the adelgid as an energy source and flourish with the high concentrations available to them. Nitrogen concentrations vary throughout the different stages of infestation. The wax wool allows for further degradation of the tree by species other than the hemlock woolly adelgid. The infestation's effect on the nutrient concentrations on the forest floor, as well as the canopy, has influenced the availability of nutrients for microorganisms, as well as filamentous fungi, what have affected the original ecosystem's nutrient cycling. The hemlock woolly adelgid directly affects the eastern hemlock and consequently affects higher levels of the trophic web in terrestrial ecosystems and marine ecosystems, a specific example being birds. Scientists believe that deciduous forests will begin to replace the hemlock forests, disturbing the surrounding soil and aquatic ecosystems. This will occur after the hemlock woolly adelgid destroys the hemlock population in an area. Eastern hemlocks provide shade within forests, resulting in cooler temperatures within aquatic environments. The decreased shading achieved by the continuous loss of the hemlock canopy will lead to the increasing water temperature in aquatic environments due to the increased exposure to sunlight. The change in the nutrient profile due to the loss of the hemlocks will also cause increased concentration of nutrients in the soil, which will run off into the aquatic ecosystems. Increased nutrients and temperature on an aquatic ecosystem causes altered plant and animal growth. Lewickel, Sobczak, and Colburn found, quote, Maloney and Liberty, 1995, that hemlock needles decayed more slowly and supported fewer macroinvertebrates than leaves of most deciduous riparian plant species. This causes a more eutrophic environment in aquatic ecosystems near deciduous forests. This is thought to change aquatic biodiversity. Brook trout are a specific species found in abundance in aquatic ecosystems near eastern hemlocks. It is thought that as hemlock woolly adelgid continues to destroy the eastern hemlock populations, the abundance of the brook trout in that nearby aquatic ecosystem will decline due to the resulting environmental changes. The decline of the hemlock tree began to affect the species variation within the forest avian communities. The black-throated green warbler, who uses the hemlocks for nesting and as a food source, has been severely affected. As hemlock populations continue to decline, the fate of the black-throated green warbler is undecided. While this species is most often found in hemlocks, it is known to inhabit spruce forests as well. Spruce trees are grown in the north due to their value as timber and may serve as a refuge for the warblers. The installation of spruce trees where hemlock trees used to dominate may aid the avian species by introducing new habitats, but it is not a solution. The black-throated green warblers are repeatedly outcompeted by the black Burnian warblers. Hemlock trees have high structural diversity and stratification, a quality that the spruce trees do not. The lack of diversity makes it hard for this warbler species to maintain a healthy population. The black-throated green warbler has shown a preference toward occupying habitats in deciduous forests. It is thought that as the decline of the hemlock leads to a greater abundance of deciduous vegetation, the warbler will be able to colonize the deciduous trees. While this may seem as a viable option for the warblers, many believe the warblers will instead flee to uninfected hemlock areas. Another avian species, the Acadian flycatcher, is also at risk. The Acadian flycatcher limits its habitat mostly to hemlock ravines. The decline of the hemlock tree clearly interferes with the Acadian flycatcher's nesting sites. Not all species are negatively affected. Many species of woodpeckers appear to be benefiting from the loss of hemlocks. The hooded warbler, a species associated with habitats in early succession, benefits the most during the transition period, where deciduous trees begin to dominate the forest population as the hemlock populations continue to decrease. Conclusively, the hemlock woolly adelgid's interaction as an invasive species with the eastern hemlock and surrounding terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems provides a model for how invasive species have unpredictable consequences as a whole on ecosystems. The soil composition, nutrient levels, temperature along with other characteristics of an ecosystem are indirectly affected by invasive species, causing underlying effects on various trophic levels. The unpredictable, negative, numerous consequences of invasive species have varying levels of severity that should be avoided for preventing the introduction of invasive species within an area.